All right, Scott.
Oh, I'm ready.
I'm here.
I think I'm as ready as I'm going to get it.
Just whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right, are you recording?
Yep.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me welcome you to the first episode. That's right, episode 1 of Kingpin Landlording, where you are going to learn how to earn the most money possible on your rental properties. Guys, I thought the best thing for us to do to start off with in this episode is to ask ourselves, why should we buy rental properties in the first place? And then, why should we do it now? Pretty good questions to start our series off with. Let's just go with one question at a time. First, let's start with why buy rental properties. Let me tell you why I got into rental properties to start with, which, by the way, I own a handful myself. I own about 20 of them myself and manage around 400. But let me tell you where I got my start. Back in the 80s, and literally I was somewhere around 12 years old, my father got subscribed to Forbes magazine. And every year the Forbes 400 list came out. And it was very telling to me. He would give me this list and let me analyze it. And I noticed back then that if you take the first 100 out, the top 100, the people that I call the lucky ones, the Bill Gates of the world, or your people that inherited their money, you take those top 100 out and then look at the next 300, and an enormous percentage of the people on that list, the billionaires on that list, earn their living in real estate. And that was just very impressive to me. And I don't remember the exact numbers, but it seemed like it exceeded 50% of the people that earned their wealth earned it in real estate. And I thought to myself, you know what? This real estate game, you don't have to be a genius to do it or any real special skills. A little common sense doesn't hurt any. But anybody can do it. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon, so even I could do it. So as I got a little older, but I was still pretty young, in 1989 I bought my first triplex, and it's just grown from there. And it has generated wealth for me, and I believe it can generate wealth for you. So that's how I got started in this, and the reason that I got into it in the first place. Now, I've analyzed the Forbes 400 list recently also, the 2014 400 list. It's not quite as heavily weighted to real estate as it used to be, but it's still pretty heavily weighted. Now, I'm talking all 400, not just the second 300. Of all 400 of them, 31 of them earned their wealth in real estate, which was the highest percentage of any other industry. Now, some of those, a handful of them weren't just real estate. They also had some retail or some oil or hotels involved in it also. But real estate was a very large portion of their wealth in their portfolio. 31, by the way, the next highest was 27, which was hedge funds, followed by investments at 23, oil at 16, private equity at 15, and there were a lot of retail also, but 5 of the retail people alone were Walmart. These kind of things we're not going to be able to get involved in, with maybe one exception, and I'll come to that in just a moment. But us as regular, everyday, middle-class Americans are not going to have a large impact on hedge funds, private equity funds, or even oil for that matter. Now, the one of them that is an exception would be investments. Investments are a fantastic way to generate wealth in our economy. But I maintain that to truly build wealth as middle-class Americans, scattered site real estate is the only way to do it. Allow me to explain what I mean by that. Yes, these folks on the Forbes 400 list earn their wealth in real estate. They're earning it in very large projects, most likely large office buildings or enormous apartment communities. These are things that most likely you and I are not going to be able to get involved in. But scattered site real estate, we can. Allow me to define what I mean by scattered site real estate. Scattered site rental properties would be a single-family home, a small multifamily, 2 to 4 units, or maybe even a mobile home. But this is the opportunity for us as middle-class Americans to build wealth. Now, because I mentioned that investments were an excellent opportunity as well, I would like to compare how real estate does work with and against investments. Can we edit that? I'm sorry. I want to start from there again. The comparison. Okay. I would like to compare the difference between real estate and its power and investments. In today's economy, when we're talking about investments, we can talk about bonds, we can talk about stocks, CDs, mutual funds. I'm going to go ahead and eliminate 3 of them. Bonds, CDs, and mutual funds simply are just not paying enough anymore for anybody to generate any kind of wealth out of. However, stocks have done pretty well lately. How long they will do well, that's anybody's guess. You simply cannot time the market, which, by the way, holds true with real estate as well. You just can't time the market. But allow me to tell you the benefits that real estate has over investing in stocks, and then also the negatives as well. It's not all a bed of roses, and we'll go over those as well. But for starters, the biggest benefit that real estate has is its enormous leverageability. Now, what I mean by that is leverage is a mortgage. You can borrow money against this investment. In most cases, 80% or more of the value of the property you can borrow in a real estate investment. Now, why is that important to you? Why is leverage so important to you? If you're using somebody else's money to build your wealth, then you've got just what it says, leverage to grow faster. Allow me to show you some numbers, and I promise not to get too deep into numbers. I know that bores some people to death, but I think this is pretty important when we're talking about leverage. If we invest in a $100,000 piece of property, just to make our numbers easy, nobody's going to hire me for my penmanship, so just bear with me. And that piece of property appreciates by 5% a year. What have we just earned? We made $5,000. 5% of $100,000 is $5,000. Nice, easy, gradual appreciation. Let's take this same number and say that we borrowed $80,000 of the $100,000. So now how much do we have in it? We now have $20,000 in it. That same investment appreciated 5% a year. Now remember, the investment is still valued at $100,000. So that 5% still yielded $5,000 of appreciation in value. That $5,000 is now 25% of what you have invested. That is the power of leverage. There is no other investment that you can be involved in that allows you to be leveraged that highly. Let me offer one caveat to leverage, though. Leverage is also where the risk comes into real estate. If we do have a market correction and rents go down, you still have a payment to make on this leverage that we're talking about. So be cautious with leverage. Frankly, I think that 80% on an investment property is too much. Can it work? Sometimes it can. Heck, I've seen it work at 90, even 100%. But to be nice and conservative, to use somebody else's money and get the most bang for your buck with the minimal risk, I think 80% is too much. 70% is probably where you need to look. Just a little quick caveat on leverage. Nevertheless, it's a fantastic part, probably the best part of owning real estate. Secondly, the values of real estate are fairly stable. If you look at stock charts, and you can look at them all day long, as a matter of fact, just yesterday I was with one of my financial advisors. He was pointing out to me all the different highs and lows every year over the last 20 years, since 1995. I was actually pretty shocked to find out that 2009 actually had a large swing up before it went down. But my point in this is it's very up and down. It's very volatile. Real estate is typically not that way. Have we seen bubbles, especially recently? Yes. But not nearly what you see in the stock market. It is not nearly as volatile as the stock market. So generally we have a nice, smooth, easy 3 to 5, maybe 6% appreciation rate depending on the part of the country that you're in. Now that doesn't sound like a whole lot. It doesn't sound like a whole lot of fun, or it's not real sexy when we're talking 3 to 5%. But if we're talking 3 to 5% appreciation on what you have invested, yet the value of the property is still much higher, now you're talking real returns. It is not uncommon at all, once you factor in all the returns that you can get on a rental property, that you see in excess of 15%. It's not uncommon at all. Time you factor in the amortization, somebody else is making your payment for you, the appreciation that we just went over, and the cash flow. Cash flow is wonderful, by the way. We'll talk about cash flow later. Next, another reason that I like real estate is relatively low risk. Again, the leverage in it is what really causes the most risk. But you can control that, how much leverage you have in rental properties. And if you don't over leverage it, there's really very minimal risk in the real estate. Furthermore, any other risk, or not any, most other risk that comes along with real estate is insured. You insure against it, like a fire or a tornado. You cannot mitigate all risk in any investment, but real estate is probably one of the safest when it comes to risk. Safest if anything's going to generate any wealth anyway. You can go risk-free basically and put your money in cash, and we'll talk about cash in a little while also. Next, another advantage to real estate is you have control of the asset. It is tangible, it is real, it's bricks and mortar, and it is yours. When you buy a share of stock, heck, you don't even get a piece of paper anymore. At least at one time, you got a little stock certificate that said, hey, look, I'm the owner of McDonald's, or whatever the case may be. You don't even get that anymore. It's just an electronic number that you have. And you have zero control over it whatsoever. Yes, you get to vote for the board of directors and proxies and things like this, but you're one of 3 million votes, or whatever the case may be. With real estate, you have more control over the business itself. It truly is a business. You're controlling what maintenance gets done. You're controlling when the roof gets put on. You're controlling how much the rent is, things like that. Another advantage to owning rental properties is a little more control of your investments. And finally, one of the biggest advantages, one of the biggest reasons that large investors get into real estate is the tax benefits. Now, I've got to give you a caveat. I am not a CPA, so any tax advice that you need to reach out to your CPA for. But most likely, if you purchase rental properties and you put a mortgage on it, you are not going to pay one dime of taxes in that year on the income generated from that property. The reason for that is everything you do to this piece of property is a tax deduction. From the interest that you pay, to the maintenance that you do, to the management of the property. It's all a tax deduction. On top of that, you get something called depreciation, which is a large number that basically the Internal Revenue Service says that these properties will reduce themselves in value over time. So they let you take a percentage of the property every year, the value of the property every year, and deduct it from your taxes. Now, eventually you'll pay them. It's pay me now, or pay me later. I personally prefer pay me later. Again, talk to your CPA for more details on that, but the tax benefits are absolutely awesome. Now, it's not all a bed of roses, like I said before. There are disadvantages to owning real estate. The primary one is it is not very liquid. If you need to get your hands on cash right away, it's not easy to do. You'll have to sell it. You'll have expenses that go along with that, and it sometimes takes time, many times even months or years to dispose of a piece of rental property. I've heard people have a plan to have a line of credit on a property, and that way when times get tough and they need access to cash right now, they just dip into that line of credit. It has been my experience that lines of credit are there when you don't need them and not when you do. So I wouldn't count on that either. If you need cash and you're going to need cash right away, real estate is not the investment for you. Real estate is also more management intensive. I mentioned a moment ago that when you buy real estate, you're really buying into a business, and that's the way it needs to be treated as a business. It's not just a share of stock or a bond that you're just setting money aside and not doing anything with it. You've got decisions to make. You've got to run the business or hire somebody to do it for you. So again, it's not all a bed of roses. You also have to deal with confrontation. You'll have tenants, and it's a people business, and things go wrong whenever you're dealing with people. But all in all, I still maintain it is the best avenue for middle-class Americans to generate wealth. Now we're dealing with another issue. Now we've talked about why buy real estate. Now the question is, why buy it now that prices have come back up? And we'll talk about that in the next segment. Do all right?
Yeah.
Do I need to do it again? Did I stumble? Did I say likes and uhs and this kind of stuff too much?
What I want to do is in the parts where you would stop and say go to the next segment, I want to cut it and have like a transition.
Okay.
So it looks like we're going to the next thing.
Okay.
The next thing. So it's not like a pause. So we can fix a lot of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So don't worry about that.
Okay. Good.
Don't worry about that at all.
I did feel like I stumbled on a lot of stuff, but
don't worry about that at all.
All right.
We can make it seem like you didn't, you know.
Okay.
You know?
Make me look better than I am.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
You know what I forgot is an eraser. You have an eraser, a dry eraser?
Let me get you.
I'm not sure that I'm going to need this again, actually. Let me see. I also didn't need my glasses after all.
Your fans think you're doing great, Scott.
Awesome, thank you. You're getting the inside scoop. I'm asking if there aren't too many uhs and ums.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
We're going to start segment 2 here in just a little bit.
Okay. I don't think I'm going to need the dry erase board, so don't
Scott,
worry about the eraser.
you are not on Periscope because you don't have a Twitter account. We're going to get you set up today.
I need to get a Twitter account. That's right. So you're going to have to tell me what people are saying.
Hey, they like your shirt and tie.
My electric blue.
Yeah, MTSU blue.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Thanks, guys. We're going to start segment 2 here in a second.
I don't think that I need that eraser unless you just feel the need to get it. I'm not going to use the dry erase board again, I don't believe. No, I think we're good. I'm wondering if I do need more props, though, because I'm sitting there watching
Scott, are you on Facebook?
I am.
What's your Facebook account? Do you know your...
Scott Abernathy?
Scott, yeah, just search Scott Abernathy. You'll find him.
Also, rentfromscott.com is our business page.
Rentfromscott.com. Find all the information there.
Which I'm going to give a shout out to in the next segment, if that's okay.
Mark, sorry if I mess up your name. Riviera. Sorry if I mess up your name. You're millennial. So you got millennials on here learning some great content.
All right, good.
Sorry I messed up your name.
All right. I guess I'm ready to go, so why now is what we're doing next, right?
Whenever you're ready.
Hang on just a minute. Okay.
All right. Sly Buford. You know Sly Buford?
Yeah, name rings a bell.
Yeah.
Probably know the face better than I know the name. Sorry, Sly.
Got some ladies on here that like you, Scott. Got some fans. Thank you. Yeah, Sly Buford said he wants you to check out one of his properties.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get in touch with you, Sly. We got your information. Thank you, guys. All right. Segment 2. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, it's recording. We're ready to go.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back. I'm glad you decided to stick around for Kingpin Landlording. We're having a good time in here recording it. So let me talk about segment 2. But first things first, let me give a shout out to rentfromscott.com. Reliant Property Management is the property management company that I own and run. We do an outstanding job for your needs. I believe that every landlord needs a CEO to run their real estate business. I am that CEO. Give me a shout if I can help, 867-8282. That is area code 615. We do specialize in the Rutherford County market in Tennessee. If you need help elsewhere, be happy to help you find that help as well. All right, we'll move on to segment 2 here, where we're talking about not only why buy real estate, but why buy it now. The atmosphere that I'm seeing out there, well, let's just go back for just a little while. A lot of us are still in a recession mindset, and that recession mindset is coloring nearly everything that we do. During the recession in 2009, 2010, et cetera, there were deals, and I put that in quotes, all over the place. I mean, bargain basement prices all over the place. But nobody was there to buy them. I had a couple of investors who had some cash, and they did get themselves some good buys during the down times. But not many. There just weren't many out there. Now prices have come back up. Jobs have come back. Households are filling up again. And now there's no, quote, deals anymore. But I've got investors with money falling out of their pockets looking for something to buy. And the criticism is, Scott, there's just nothing to buy out there. But the reality is, there's plenty to buy, we just don't want to pay that much for it. And I understand that. I'm in the same boat as you guys are. I buy properties as well, and I would certainly love to buy properties at 2009 prices. But let's ask ourselves, is a deal really necessary? Let's take that investor that bought the property on a Fannie Mae Home Path loan in 2009 and gave 20% less for it than what you could give today. Did they get a deal, or was it really just market value for the time? I maintain that it was market value for the time. If that same man turned around and tried to sell that property the next day, not only would it sit on the market forever, but he's not going to get any more money for it that same day. Now we're just seeing a little higher market value. The important part is to make sure the property cash flows. If you're going to hold on to a property for any period of time, significant period of time, it really doesn't matter what you gave for it. 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now, it's going to be worth more than it is today, and you will have enjoyed all the income and tax benefits along the way. Still, I hear you out there saying, but Scott, I got to get a deal or I'm just simply not going to buy it. In that case, in this market, you may not be buying anything, which gives you a choice. The choice is sit on cash and wait for maybe someday when the market turns down and you can buy properties then, which, by the way, most of us didn't do when the market turned down before, but maybe you would. Or you can go ahead and start enjoying the benefits of rental properties at today's market values and watch them go up over the next 10, 20, 15 years, whatever the case may be. Allow me to give you an example of this. Market value transactions. I bought my third duplex in 1993. I bought it for $54,500. That was market value at the time. When the recession came, guys, I'm in real estate, and a lot of people will refer to the recession as either the Great Recession or the real estate depression. I mean, it was just really rough for us guys in real estate. So I had to liquidate some assets even in really bad times to keep everything going. One of them was that duplex. In 2009, arguably the worst real estate market I am ever going to see, or this generation may ever see, I had to sell this duplex for the low bargain basement price of market value at the time of $112,000. Well, did I make money selling a property in the worst market ever? Well, certainly I did. But it also had 15 years of growth there, or however many years that is. You can do the math if you'd like to. So my point is, it really doesn't matter what you give for it today. It matters more about what the cash is going to throw off. We have got to get ourselves out of the recession mindset if we want to advance our careers in owning rental properties. So there's my spiel on moving forward from 09 to now. Now, let's talk about the buy and the deal. Gurus will tell you that, real estate gurus that is, will tell you the money is made on the buy. If you don't buy it right, you've already lost. They're correct if you're planning to flip properties. What I mean by flip properties, that's purchasing something and turn it over within 3, 6, 9 months or a year, whatever the case may be. If you're planning to buy something, rehab it, and turn it, yes. If you haven't bought it right, you've already lost. But when it comes to rental properties, these are buy and hold assets. It doesn't make a whole lot of hill of beans as to what you give for it. So I got to say, we got to quit worrying about how much the market value has gone up. For that matter, I anticipate the market value to go up even more. If you take a look at the chart entitled United States House Prices that Brandon's going to put up for us here in just a moment, you can see on there that over time, even during the recession, values went up. The values that came down to during the recession, if you notice that light blue line that's going up into 09 and then 2012, where it really got deep, we never even got down to where it should have been. And now we're creeping back up again. I anticipate the market to continue to creep back up. I am no investment crystal ball reader, but we'll see another correction in the not too distant future. But I don't think it'll be anything like what we've seen in the past. The bottom line is, if we continue to invest and keep going, we're going to buy properties in the high times, we're going to buy properties in the low times, and over time, again, looking at this chart, it's going to keep going up over time. So there's the benefit to buying properties and buying it right now. Another trend that we're seeing in the real estate market is what millennials are doing. Millennials are staying away from home ownership these days. As a matter of fact, according to the Multifamily Housing Council, 36% of American households are renters these days. Now that's down from a high, according to the National Association of Realtors, of 71% back in 2006-2007. So we're already seeing that people are not as interested in buying houses as they are renting houses anymore. Now why is that? There's a handful of reasons. A lot of these millennials went through this recession when they were young. Some of them actually watched the sheriff's department come put their stuff out on the street when their parents got foreclosed on. That hurts, especially at a young, impressionable age. Makes you not real confident about home ownership. Secondly, and it's not just millennials, we're seeing 45 to 70-year-old folks also that are less and less homeowners. And for their purposes, it's more, they don't want the responsibility of homeownership. There is a ton of responsibility in homeownership. Frankly, a house is not an asset, it's a liability. You've got to repair it, you got to put heat and air in it, you got to put roof on it, you got to take care of it, and you have to make the payments on it. And it's not generating any income back. Whenever you rent a piece of property, the landlord takes care of most of that. Yes, you got to pay your rent, but you're not putting the heat and air system in, you're not roofing it, you're not worrying about the insurance claim when the siding gets blown off the house. The landlord takes care of all that. For that matter, many landlords take care of general maintenance also. They'll take care of mowing the yard for you or whatever the case may be. So these are some of the reasons that we're seeing people more and more go toward renting houses instead of buying houses. Secondly, another reason that being a landlord and getting into landlording is a good business to get into is we're seeing that 57% of the rental households in this country are in scattered site properties. Scattered site, remember, is single-family homes, small multifamily 2 to 4 units, and then maybe mobile homes, things like that, not apartment complexes. And this is according to the Multifamily Housing Council. 57% of them, of households, are renting, of the renter households are renting scattered site properties. Just so you know, most of those households also include children, so the numbers are actually 65% of the folks that rent live in rental housing. Live in scattered site properties. So you can see the big advantage to what to invest in today is scattered site homes. Now, we're not the only ones seeing this. You're also seeing hedge funds and private equity funds that are enjoying this as well. You're seeing large companies, Wall Street, that are gobbling up rental properties because they're seeing these same numbers. It still leaves us an opportunity to rent houses as well. And frankly, us an opportunity to service our customers better than they could ever dream of servicing them. So again, being involved in getting into scattered site rental properties is an outstanding way to generate wealth, even in today's market. I need to pause for just a moment. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
You know, I would love to go back to talk about the people that are renting, why they don't want to rent. Can I do that, or is it too late to go back to that?
Cut that in.
Okay. I'm going to start with, I'm going to go into why people are renting. I've already been through millennials. I've already been through why
Is this part need to cut into something else, or can we just add it to the end of where we just left off?
I'm thinking we need to put it in up where I'm talking about why people are renting instead of buying now.
If you want to write that down when we get done,
okay.
I can cut that in.
Got it. You're right here.
Yeah, keep going.
All right. Another reason a lot of folks are renting instead of buying is they don't want the responsibility of home ownership. Home ownership does take a lot of responsibility. You've got to take care of the maintenance. They don't have to. Their landlord takes care of it. When that heat and air goes down, the landlord does it. When the roof needs to be replaced, the landlord does it. When the dishwasher's not working, the landlord does it. They're not financially responsible for anything. Secondly, they're not tied to a mortgage, a 30-year mortgage, which, by the way, we're seeing more and more people very resistant to being tied down to a mortgage because it also makes them less transient, which is another thing we're seeing in a change in our society is folks are very transient these days. They're moving from one city to another. They're either getting transferred or just like something better. If they're leasing, it gives them the opportunity to do that when their lease is up as opposed to being tied down to a mortgage and a house that they may or may not be able to dispose of. That's what I wanted to tie into,
Okay.
and I'll write that in. I think I'm wrapping up now, though, okay? Just make sure I got it. All right, I hope I've made my case. The fact that owning rental properties and buying rental properties is a fantastic way to generate wealth in this economy, in this market, especially for middle-class Americans, and that even though the deals or lower market value are not out there anymore, it's still a fantastic time to buy and to keep acquiring rental properties that cash flow for you. Next month, we will dive into, I didn't think about what I'm going to dive into next month.
Something.
Next month, we're going to dive into, guess I still got to, if I got any suggestions out there?
What do you want to hear Scott talk about next month? What do you guys want to hear Scott talk about?
How about choosing good tenants?
Oh, wow. This guy's 25, self-employed, and currently renting.
I could definitely understand that. Absolutely, especially self-employed. Self-employed, you have the opportunity to move anywhere.
Yeah.
And you're not tied down. Okay, so next
Property management.
Okay, property management's coming up, but I'm really trying not to sell my services on here. Good idea. I think next month we're going to emphasize on recruiting the right tenants. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Come back next month, because next month we're going to talk about recruiting the right tenants to live in your properties, and then training them. I didn't practice.
Somebody wants to see.
I didn't practice this, obviously.
Somebody wants to know how to acquire private investors.
Private investors, yeah, I don't doubt you there. That's a task, absolutely a task. And one of these days we'll definitely come into that, because that's a good idea.
Or seller financing.
And seller financing is fantastic also. I've got a handful of those. Those are hard to do, and we'll definitely talk about that one day. Be sure and come back next month, because next month we're going to talk about how to find the right tenant for your properties to help make you the most money possible in your rental properties. Until then, happy landlording.
Good deal. I like it.
Oh.
Give Scott some hearts, guys. You did a good job. First show.
Episode 1.
Episode 1.
In the books.
If you wanna learn more about Scott, go to rentfromscott.com or go to the Burt Network, BURT network.com/Kingpin Landlording. You can watch his first show, his preview show. This show will come out next Monday.
Next Monday, all right, good.
You'll be able to watch this as it was recorded, as it was meant to be watched.
I'm going to have to do this. So I need Twitter and what else?
Yeah, we're glad you came and saw us. This is on Twitter. Okay. You have to have a Twitter to have a Periscope.
Okay.
So you need a Twitter.
Okay.
You need a Rent from Scott Twitter or something.
You got it.
Yeah, find this guy on Facebook too. Go to rentfromscott.com and you'll see his show next week. You guys have any more questions? Give him some hearts.
That's pretty cool.
Thanks for watching today. Yeah, no more questions. We're going to end the stream, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
See y'all.